I'm going to tell you how I got my first job, my only job, in the engineering industry as an older student. Currently, I'm studying electronic engineering technology with plans to transfer into a 4 year electrical engineering program. Okay, so I thought it was important to grab a job in the industry as early as possible. And if you are also in your 40s and you're looking to pivot, shout out C Esposito. If you're looking to make a career pivot, maybe you have concerns, maybe you have fear. I'm going to tell you exactly how I got my job. Here we go. It was conventional networking. I know folks have mixed feelings about networking. I've had my mixed feelings about it, but I got it through conventional networking. I joined a club called like the Engineering Society of Philadelphia, something like that. I went on their calendar and they were hosting a resume event for young engineering professionals and engineering students. I showed up. They gave me some valuable tips. Well, they gave all of us valuable tips. At the end of the workshop, I sat down with two of the presenters and they took a red pen and went all through my existing resume. They left me with suggestions. Okay? Their suggestions were to lead with my education instead of my work experience. My past work experience had nothing to do with engineering, but I was beginning to gain, as a first, second semester student, I was beginning to gain some valuable and applicable experience in the classroom. So they showed me that I could lead with that. I went home. I restructured my resume. And then I found a few jobs that actually aligned with my current experience. Okay? The job is electrical assembler. Okay? I applied for the job, and actually within like 5 or 6 days they sent me an email, or maybe it was a phone call. Then I got hit up by another company. So just making that adjustment to the resume got me two fish on the hook. Okay? Now, so these folks don't have jobs. But we trying to get better jobs, okay? I'm going to try not to let them distract me, okay? So, now the police. It's wild out here. Okay. Okay, sorry. So the type the type of job is electrical assembler. How I got it was through conventional networking, right? I went to the networking event. Okay, so persistence. All right, so I applied for the job. I got the phone call quickly, but and then we did a phone interview, and then we scheduled an in-person interview. But I actually had to stay on top of the company, right? It was one of those situations where, you know how people tell you you should call the company and say, hey, am I still being considered? I actually had to do that. There were probably like 5 phone calls that I initiated, just checking up. And to be honest, I'd say that's not my personality, but I had to step outside of my comfort zone and do the thing. The thing that people tell you to do that you think is corny. I found myself being that guy because I want this opportunity so much. Okay? So I eventually got the in-person interview. I called them some more. We eventually got the start date. And I'm going to tell you why I actually left a decent job to become an electrical assembler. Okay? And if you don't know what an electrical assembler does, they pretty much assemble electronic equipment, electronic devices. So I work beside electrical technicians, PCB board testers, and with engineers. The engineers are actually like in another suite, but this is the world that I'm in. And I'll add this too. Depending on the company that you work for, Electrical assembler might be a good move, right? That might be a path to engineering or being an engineering tech. It just depends on where you work. Before I applied to this company, I had done my research, and it turns out that they like to promote from within and move people all around. Okay, and they had a PCB, printed circuit board tester, job available, but I don't think I noticed that, or I don't think it was posted until I was already in motion for the assembly position. Damn, they 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 talk a lot. Damn. They talk a lot. I'm trying to ignore them, but it's like I'm like, what the hell? Why do they have so much to say? It's 10 in the morning. They aren't at work, and they got a lot to say. I'm gonna have to cut all this out. Anyway, so depending on which company you work for might determine how valuable a position like this is or isn't. Like I said, I did research and I decided that it was the right move for me. It might be the right move for you. If you're the type of person who knows how to get in the door, get your job done, and I guess be likable or be valuable enough that they'd be willing to give you another opportunity. Okay, the last job I had was decent, but it wasn't in the industry. And to address some of the fear, I had some of the fears you had. I know some people wouldn't take a job as an assembly person because it's not related closely enough to the actual like circuits, the Ohm's law side of things. But I guess I had like read blogs, and I had learned about an opinion that was floating around that students our age and graduates our age aren't desirable, not because we can't do the work, but because of like an ageism thing and folks just not wanting us for whatever reason, even if it's because they think that we wouldn't follow the instructions or want to be told what to do or wouldn't want entry level salaries. Anyway, so all of that stuff sort of converged and created a fear in me. And I was like, instead of waiting until I graduate to try to get a job, let me start now. Even when you think about internships, some companies offering internships lean toward younger students. At least that was the thought. But when I hooked up with this company, I could see that they didn't care about any of that. So I hope I covered everything well. Telling you exactly how I got my foot in the door. Okay, it's an entry level position, but based on the company I'm with, there's real potential to move on to other positions, and we even discussed that at my interview. Okay, and they said, what are you looking to do? And I said, hey, I'm looking to move on to this position and then eventually that position, which was engineer, being the top tier. And that was all good. Okay, that's how I got my first job in the engineering industry as an older student, an engineering student in his 40s. If you found value in that, watch another video, and thanks for your interest.